Welcome to another edition of Parenting Matters with McCracken. We've been talking about helping kids deal with their feelings, taken primarily from the book by Faber and Maslish called How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk. A book that was really catalytic and very instrumental in helping my wife and me parent well. And we've been talking about different things. Today, we're on the last of the topic on helping our kids deal with their feelings. And we've talked about giving our kids full attention. We've talked about responding with a word or a phrase. We've talked about giving their emotion or their feeling a name. And today we're going to talk about instead of explanation and logic, give them what they're wishing for in fantasy. So, for example, here's the comic in the middle of the chapter. The little kid is in his chair and he says, "I want my toasty crunchies." And the mother says, "We don't have any, dear." And the kid stands up on his chair and he says, "I want them. I want them." And the mother says, "I told you we don't have any in the house." And the kid says, "No." And the mother says, "Have some nifty Krispies instead." Now the kid's on the floor throwing a tantrum, and the mother says, "Now you're acting like a baby." When children want something that they can't have, and we try to explain in a logical way why they can't have it, it actually tends to make them more emotional. It tends to make them push harder. One of the reasons is that logical part of the brain isn't very well developed in their head yet. That doesn't happen until they're around 20, 21 years of age. And so it kind of backfires for us when we're talking with little kids. But instead of explanation and logic, let's give them what they want in fantasy. Let's look at the situation again. The little kid says, "I want my toasty crunchies." And the mother says, "I wish I had some in the house for you." And he says, "I want them." And the mother says, "I hear how much you want them." And then he says, with the mother now putting her arm around his shoulder, "I wish I had them." And she says, "I wish I had magic power to make a giant box of them appear." And then the kid says, "Well, maybe I'll have some nifty Krispies." And the mother says, "Oh." Now, I'm not trying to tell you this is magical. I'm not trying to tell you it'll work like this every single time. But I can tell you that it's worked for us and with our kids. And I can tell you that that very same situation, right after we had read this book and learned these principles, happened with our son, Kyle. And he was in his high chair, and I can't remember the name of the cereal that he wanted, but he wanted that cereal. And he was very upset when he found out that we didn't have any. And then my wife remembered this principle, and she said something like, "I wish I had the magic power to make hundreds of boxes of this cereal appear in every room of the house." And he laughed and he said, "That's silly, Mommy. I'll have some Cheerios." It was like magic, but it wasn't magic. It's just a principle. And it actually works with kids, and it works with teens, and it works with adults too. I'm not just talking about a gimmick or a method. I'm talking about a kind of wishing together with. I'm talking about a kind of camaraderie. I'm talking about a kind of empathy that shows you understand what your child wants, and you wish he could have or she could have what they want. But when it's not possible, instead of trying logical explanations, try instead giving them what they want in fantasy. So just a quick review in helping the children deal with their feelings. Children need to have their feelings accepted and respected. So number one, give them your full attention and listen well. Secondly, you can acknowledge their feelings with a word. Oh, I see. Thirdly, you can give the feeling a name. That sounds frustrating, or that sounds like you're really angry, or, oh, that's really sad when that happens. And then fourthly, you can give the child what they want in fantasy. I wish I could make the banana ripe for you right now. All feelings can be accepted. Certain actions must be limited, but we'll talk about that another time. But just for one quick example, I can see how angry you are. Tell me what you want with words, not fists. We'll talk more about that when we talk about some other principles. That's enough for today. See you next time on Parenting Matters with McCracken.